Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show for Friday, January the 4th, 2019. Welcome to my first eBay video of 2019. And it is very fitting that it is a cold, cloudy day, because since I've talked to you guys last week, we have not had a single sunny day whatsoever, not one. In addition, if any of you guys caught my video on New Year's Day, I did an impromptu video about getting a flat tire on the turnpike. You can see that day was just as cloudy and nasty as this one. It's not raining right now. It's going to rain tonight and all day Saturday. Unbelievable. We just can't catch a break. But in today's video, guys, we're going to actually do a little look back on the last 20 years of selling on eBay. The ups and the downs, what it's like. I'm not going to come out here and tell you that everything in the last 20 years that went down on eBay was good news, because you know I'm not that guy. I give straight talk to you guys, and that's what you guys deserve to hear, is the truth. So we're going to take a nice little look back at my 20-year career on eBay. Somewhere near the end of the video, I may even do some singing or dancing. I haven't decided yet about that. But first, like we always do, we're going to start with your comments, questions, and concerns from last week's video. So let's get started with that right now. Dr. GB Bob 80 made a channel comment and asked a question. And he wrote, "Please continue to make eBay videos and New York City exploration videos. Do not ever quit. And thank you for that little clip of you holding that paper across the screen. This is the best Christmas gift for me. Thank you so much for doing that." Joe, out of 20 years on eBay, what was your very first item you sold and bought? And can you give me some summary of your experiences on eBay, like early days on eBay, old PayPal system, and remembering ProPay? Do you miss talking about ProPay? Okay, there's a lot of questions involved there. The first item I sold on eBay was a set of Ford hubs. I do remember them vividly. And yeah, the first item I bought on eBay was a 1989 Ford Taurus hubcap, which I promptly resold for a profit, and a legend was born, as they say. So yeah, I do remember my first bought and sold items on eBay. As far as the ProPay question is concerned, I do not miss ProPay one bit, because when I took ProPay, nobody wanted to use ProPay. They wanted to use PayPal and PayPal only, and it caused me a huge headache. But this was during the earlier days of eBay, and at that time PayPal was a different company than it is today. Later, when we go back to my retrospective, we'll talk more about that. Rubber Wilbur wrote in with a question about caroling. Joe, do you recall how much you and your friend racked up in coin on that Christmas singing? I'm sure it was a lot, especially in the 70s or 60s. You look young, so we'll say the 70s. Yes, it was in the 70s. We started doing that in 6th grade, and we each racked up approximately $19 per night, which for a young kid in the 70s was major freaking coin and much needed. A channel comment from safety-1.com. Thanks, Joe, for another great year following you and all your observations and encouragement. It is helpful and greatly appreciated. I've been selling on eBay for 20 years since December 9th, 1998, and like you, I hope to continue for many more years. At age 75, I do not have the remaining years that you do, but will follow you to the end. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and again, thanks for your advice and dedication, safety-1.com. Sir, you are going to be around for a long time. 75 is the new 40, in case that hasn't gotten to you yet. Believe me, it's the truth. Pomona 513 also had a comment about the caroling story. Love the caroling story. It's too bad kids don't do things like that anymore. Happy New Year and congrats on 20 years on eBay. Got a good chuckle out of the end. Have you considered doing a blooper video? I've considered it, but I've also negated it because those things take forever to do. There are two problems. The main problem is going back over all my hundreds and hundreds of videos and finding all the bloopers and editing them out into one special video. The second problem is a lot of my bloopers are not as G-rated as the ones I showed you last week. Sometimes I can string a litany of curses together that would put a sailor to shame. So I really don't see that happening. The only way, maybe, is if I could get a professional editor to do the entire job for me for absolutely free. Then I would consider it. Sorry. Carmi 2005 wrote in with a question about a fishy buyer. I had a very weird encounter on New Year's Day. A buyer bought something from me and paid right away. Then eBay, just a few minutes later, canceled the transaction and says the buyer's account was terminated due to being suspicious, telling me not to ship the item. I went to PayPal and saw that the money is still there, not refunded yet. I still see it and it shows up in my ready to ship tab, but missing the image and item title. I've had over 12,000 transactions and this was a first for me. Should I refund the buyer, ship it anyway, or mark as shipped and not do anything? I've had this happen a few times over my 20 years, but not many. If eBay tells you not to ship the item, do not ship the item, okay? There's a problem with that fishy buyer's account. I would suggest you call eBay customer service for the record and show them that message and get everything, you know, in the system and on paper, as they say. But again, you really have nothing to worry about. Do not ship that item. You will have to refund. I'm surprised that eBay didn't automatically do a bounce back refund, because I think that's what they did to me last time. I think the refund was automatically given to the fishy buyer. Maybe it was an authorized use of his account. I don't know. But please do not ship the item. Crosswalk Larry wrote in with a story about a fishy seller. Hey Joe, and thanks for a great year of videos. I recently ordered a book. The seller had all positive feedback with rave reviews. His or her handling time for orders was 5 days. So on the 5th day, I get refunded with no explanation. So I revisited the seller's feedback and there were 6 negs and 2 more negs when I checked today. The seller now has 46.7% positive feedback with -1 stars. The only thing I can think of is 1, the account got hijacked by a hacker and is now playing games. 2, a kid got a hold of their parents' account and is playing games. Or number 3, maybe a mentally disturbed person who has personality flips. Or 4, Charles Fitch is the seller. One of the weirdest transactions I've ever had. Well, good sir, I don't know what to tell you about that. It sounds like there was a good seller who just dropped right off the map. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. But that's a really interesting case. I've heard about such things in my 20 years on eBay, but I've never actually been involved in any such thing. Betty A. wrote, Joe, you're awesome. Very happy New Year to you. Wow, 20 years coming up. That's amazing. Let's have a big live open party. Have any of the Fox News affiliates ever seen you and mentioned it? Ours in North Texas is also Fox. I'm assuming it's also on other channels and in other markets. Thanks again for keeping us informed. Love your humor and information. A couple of more channel comments. Jill Smith wrote, Happy New Year, Joe. Great video. I loved your caroling story. Wonderful. A born hustler. You make me want to get back on eBay again. I'm leaving a Google review for you as soon as I figure out how. And then she posted an edit. I just left my Google review. For some reason, the only way I could do it was through Google Maps. By the way, I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 8, if that makes any difference. And another channel comment, Create and Adorn. Hi Joe, my absolute pleasure to leave you a positive Google review. I didn't see a link. If you or anyone could let me know how to do this, after everything you do for this channel, I personally would jump at the chance to repay you in any way I can. Thank you, Vicky. Vicky, I'm going to read one more comment and then I'm going to answer your questions, which is the last comment I'm going to read for the day. It's from 579-7029, Mike. Thanks for staying with us, Joe. You've helped us with our eBay successes more than we could ever repay. We look forward to Friday nights for your insight, information, and most of all, your great sense of humor. Happy New Year, Mike. Thank you guys for all the positive comments. And as far as what Vicky asked, thank you all who left me positive Google reviews. What I need to tell you guys is last week I asked you guys to leave me Google reviews because my stalker in Michigan had left me some negative ones. Do you know last Friday night he came back and left me 2 more negative Google reviews, one under his real name. When you get a chance, could you please go into my Google reviews and mark his comments as fraud or unrelated? They give you 4 choices as what you can mark them as, or spam. They're just hateful, nasty comments. In one of his comments, he actually mentioned the fact that I'm selling Hess toy trucks, as I told you, and he claimed he bought one off me, which he never did. Okay guys, I'm going to put a link in the description box below so you guys can trace what this person has been doing to myself and others. This is a map of his Google reviews. He lives in Michigan and has left bad reviews for all these businesses here. I'm in New Jersey, so I've been attacked here. Jason DeCanio lives in Florida, and he's been attacked here. I would like you to pay special attention to the scurrilous comments he actually wrote about other businesses, claiming that myself, Jason, and others were in these businesses and caused a disruption in them. The guy is sick. He's actually sick in the head. So yeah, guys, if you could do that for me, that would be great. I'm now going to get into my retrospective of my 20 years on eBay, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it was, how it used to be, and how it is. I've always told you guys that I can divide my tenure on eBay into 3 different, what I would call decades or time periods. First was the Wild West of eBay, which was from when I joined, January '99, until about the year, let's say, 2007, 2008. During the early period, basically anything went. You could pay for your items with a money order, even cash in the mail, Western Union, any way you wanted to. There was absolutely no checks and balances to see if a buyer actually paid. As you probably know, during those early days, I had a load of deadbeat bidders. People who wouldn't pay for their item for any reason. All right? Sometimes they would just say to me, I'm not paying you because you don't take PayPal, or I'm not paying you because I found a better price, or I don't need the item, or too bad. All kinds of crazy excuses. And there was nothing I could do about it. There were some people that would even click the little button that said, mark as payment sent, even though they never paid. And eBay couldn't really tell one way or the other whether the person paid or not. It was crazy. Now, during the early days, sellers could leave buyers negative feedback. Okay? Every time somebody stiffed me and did not pay, I would leave them a negative feedback. I didn't care. During the really early days, like 99 to 01, what I would do is I would neg them as soon as the unpaid item case closed. Immediate negative. And I didn't care if they negged me back, because my feedback was always so strong and I sold so many items that I could actually absorb a neg. But then I got to thinking about it and I said, why should I be negged by these non-paying buyers? I will just time it out to the very last day, and on the very last day I will leave them their neg. And that's what I did. I would wait, I would count the number of days, I think it was 90 days back then, and I would actually keep a list on a piece of paper when I had to neg people that didn't pay. And if they didn't pay, I would write deadbeat bidder, never paid. All right? That was the way it was done. I never, ever negged a buyer who paid me. That's just plain wrong, and unfortunately, there were some sellers who did that. there were sellers who would neg buyers even though the buyer did nothing wrong. Like maybe the seller would list a genuine name brand item and send them a cheap China counterfeit, which is dishonest and wrong, and I hate that. But it did happen, and I was a victim of that. And then the buyer would leave a negative feedback because the seller wouldn't rectify it, and the seller would turn around and leave the buyer a negative feedback. Okay? So that is why, about, I guess it was 7 years ago, eBay no longer allows sellers to leave buyers negative feedback, because there were some sellers that abused the privilege. I think that's obvious. As I said, several payments were available back then. Most of my people would send me a check. Some would call up and pay with a credit card. There were some that would even send Western Union payments. Not many, but usually overseas people, like from Australia, would want to pay with Western Union, which was a real pain because I had to go down to the store and claim the money down there. But then PayPal was introduced, which was not a bad idea, but during the early days of PayPal, PayPal was not the company it is today. I heard a lot of bad stories about PayPal, and I refused to accept it during the early days. That caused me to get a lot of unpaid items. People refused to pay without PayPal, all right? I did use ProPay, and the people did not want to pay with ProPay. Some of them didn't know how. Some of them were scared of the company. Some of them claimed they had to open an account with ProPay before their order could be processed, which was not true. It was a pain in the freaking neck, I'm telling you. I'm so glad that PayPal really got their act together, because once I started taking PayPal, all my troubles were over. So I guess basically that talks enough about the first decade of eBay, or the first time period, which was the Wild West. In March of 2008, eBay hired a man named John Donahoe to be CEO, and that ushered in the second time period, which is what I call the us against them time period. For some weird reason, eBay looked down on its sellers during that time period, and it pains me to have to come out here and say this, but some good always comes out of bad things, and I'll get to that shortly. When Donahoe took over, eBay literally declared war on sellers. They upped the requirements to be a top-rated seller to make it really hard for honest sellers to attain that record. In fact, any time a case was opened, a return case, it counted as a defect against the seller, even if it wasn't the seller's fault. I mean, some of the programs they put in were so disgusting and unfair that I knew I, as a person, could not sit back and do nothing. In 2007, I made a couple of videos on a lark with my digital camera, not even a professional camera like I'm using now, with my digital camera. A couple of them were New York City videos, location videos, and there was a PayPal video I did, because even back in 2007, I was pissed off at some of the policies that were being implemented by the original PayPal. For example, where they would let fitchy buyers open cases, keep the item, and still get a refund. And I knew I had to speak out. The way I got the idea, actually, was I was watching a video on YouTube, and there was a guy who was making complaints about PayPal, an eBay seller who was complaining and moaning about the old PayPal. And the guy's video got a lot of views. So I decided that I could do this. I said, let me do what he's doing and make a video about PayPal, which I did. That video is still up today. It's one of my earliest videos. You can see it. It's me sitting inside my house wearing a black Kiss t-shirt, and I'm basically talking about how PayPal's being unfair to sellers. It was made with an old digital camera that's been retired years ago, and that just shows basically how the channel was born. From there, I segued when Donahoe took office, and I started complaining and moaning about unfair eBay policies, all right? Because I felt that as a seller, it was my duty to put this out there in the open and inspire discussion. And let me tell you something, man, did they inspire discussion. I had no idea that my channel would grow to the way it is today. I was hoping to reach some disgruntled sellers and air my grievances and compare them to other sellers. But the reaction was just insane. People would write to me. I didn't have any schedule when I would put up a video. I didn't put up videos every Friday like I do now. I would put one up whenever I felt like it. Maybe once a month, maybe once every month and a half. Just whenever I felt like it, or whenever a big issue arose, I would put out a video. And people started writing to me and saying things like, Joe, would you please give me your opinion on this? Or Joe, I'm new on eBay. How do you do this? How do you cancel a sale? Or how do you edit a sale? They would ask me questions and then I would put up a special video for them. So that's how things basically started getting rolling. This was during the Donahoe period, as I said, when things were bleakest for us sellers. They were absolutely awful. I will never understand the decision, the rationale to treat sellers the way they were treated back in those days. And I am very, very glad that I started this channel because eBay has improved greatly. No, it's not 100%, but it's a lot better than it was, and I don't think anybody will disagree with me that things are better now than they were during the dark days of Donahoe. Guys, let me stop now and take my first drink from the Fox News Cup of Life. I know I've gone into about 20 minutes already and I haven't taken my first drink yet. I will do that now so as not to give anybody a possible heart attack. Everything tastes better from the Fox News Cup of Life. As I said, in 2015, John Donahoe thankfully left eBay and was replaced by Devin Winnig. And immediately, policy changes were instituted and the war against sellers was called off. Things got better literally overnight. It is now 2019. And recently there's been a slight change in the climate on eBay. I know some people have been vocal about certain policies, and people claim that they're not selling as much as they used to. And maybe that's true and maybe not. I guess it depends on the category. I can honestly tell you that for the year 2018, I had a very strong first, second, and third quarter. Sales were excellent. However, true to nature, my fourth quarter sucked. But my fourth quarter has always been my weakest quarter all my life. Not just on eBay, but even locally. It's my dreaded quarter. Those holidays literally kill me. Literally. I mean, it's just plain awful. Terrible. Now, what policies would you guys like to see eBay change, if any? Now, I know a lot of you guys would like to see sellers be able to leave buyers negative feedback. I know that. I also know for a fact that is never going to happen. Many of you know that I keep in touch with people who work at eBay, people who are high on the totem pole, all right? So I'm telling you, that is never going to happen. Some sellers abuse the privilege, and it's sad to say they ruined it for everybody, but it's never going to happen. Can we get other policies changed? I would say yes, we can. I mean, look at the living proof of the policies that have changed over the last 3 years. Things have gotten better, but they're not 100% yet. One of the things I'd like to see changed are these defects, these unfair defects. For instance, as we've talked about, if a person buys something from me, the person buys the wrong size and they click not as described. Even though it's not my fault, I did nothing wrong, I'm going to have to pay return shipping, and it goes as a mark against me. And you, and eBay says they will do nothing about it. because they claim that the same amount of fraudulent complaints will be made across the board to other sellers in your field. And while that may be somewhat true, it's not fair. It is not fair to innocent sellers, and that is one of the things I am campaigning to change. You guys know I'm a very outspoken person. When things are good, I'll come out here and cheer. But when things aren't exactly fair to the seller, I am an advocate. All right? I will talk on your behalf. Now, some people say to me, well, Joe, you know a lot of people, a lot more than the average eBay seller. And I've addressed this before, but since we're doing a 20-year look back, I think this deems talking about again. During my early days of eBay, from 99 till 2000 and let's say 12, I had no interest in going to any of the eBay functions, even though there were actually some eBay lives held here on the East Coast. They had one in New York around the year 2000 or something, and I didn't go to it because I just really, I figured, why bother? I know what I'm doing. I know how to sell. I didn't think I really needed to network with anybody. And I honestly would never have gone except for one crazy, unspeakable issue that occurred. Like I said earlier, it's funny sometimes in life how good things come out of bad things. And that is something that happened to me firsthand in the year 2012. As you know, I'm an outspoken eBay seller. I'm out here every week saying the pros and saying the cons. I've had the pleasure to meet a lot of you good people in person and some only online. But with meeting people on the internet, there is a certain risk of meeting bad people too. I had the misfortune to meet the worst kind of scum imaginable in the year 2012. I'm not going to really get into that whole story now because this video is running way too long, but you know who I mean. It's the guy that's been stalking me from Westland, Michigan, who's been doing it for over 6 years. Almost 7 years now. The guy does not like me because I'm a successful eBay seller and went on eBay and made fake eBay accounts to try and hurt me. So many, and he was so prolific at it, that I was actually inundating eBay customer service with so many fraudulent complaints, they couldn't handle it. By a freak of nature and by good timing, eBay was having an event in Philly in 2012. And I knew they were going to have people from Trust and Safety there. So I went to that event specifically to talk to the Trust and Safety people. And they were able to help me. I laid out my case. I showed them what this guy was doing. And they totally picked up the ball and ran with it. And to this day, this man is banned from buying and selling on eBay, even though he has done so and proved it within the last few months. He bid on Keith's merchandise. He did a buy it now a couple of months ago specifically to hurt him. And I believe, in my opinion, that's a criminal act, just like what he did to me. But anyway, my point is, had I not gone to eBay Open because of this mongrel, the whole ball would not have started rolling. I would never have been introduced to people at eBay, good people, caring people. I wouldn't have met all of you guys that I know. How many of you guys have I actually met in person in Las Vegas within the last 4 years? Quite a few of you guys, a lot. And truthfully, I hate to say it, but one of my fallacies is I probably would not have gone to that eBay on location in Philly had it not been for this guy attacking me. Things are crazy when you think about it. Things happen for a reason, they say. And although this guy, in my opinion, is criminally insane, suffers from multiple personality disorders, and hates himself to such a degree that he has to take it out on innocent eBay sellers and YouTubers, in spite of all that, I would have never gone to all these eBay events had it not been for that incident. So when you think about it, life is funny, isn't it? So yeah, that being said, I'm going to bring this to a close now. We'll do a quick review. It's been 20 years for me on eBay, guys. It hasn't always been smooth, all right? But when we see a policy that we think hurts us as sellers, we need to be vocal about it. We have to stand up. We can't be a marshmallow and be soft. Speak up and state your mind. And I found that in life, people will respect you when you speak up and state your mind. Guys, you know who I am. I'm Crazy New York Driver, and you're not. Thank you for watching this video. I've been making these videos since the year 2007. I come out here every Friday night and I try and present information that's helpful to you. If you think I'm doing a good job, please leave me a thumbs up. It tells me I'm appreciated and I'm doing the right thing. If you don't think I did a good job, then please tell me in the comment section what you want me to hit up next week, and I'll be glad to do so. I am a seller friend, not a seller critic or skeptic of any kind. I'm still making money online. I've solved problems, and I've never, ever worn a mask. If you could do me one favor, guys, like I said earlier, if you'd go on Google and Google me and report those comments as spam or unrelated to my business, because they are nasty comments that person wrote about me. I told you, the one about the Hess Toy Trucks under the name Vaughn, the one using his real name, and there's one where he claims he came into my store and saw women's panties laying on my desk. Yes, he wrote that. That is how despicable and depraved this person is. That being said, it's January 2019. I have a whole year of eBay sales ahead of me, as do you. I hope you guys make a load of money on eBay. But if you run into any trials or tribulations, you come here and make them heard. I want to hear them. If you have good news to report, make them heard. I want to hear them too. This is my first video of the year 2019. So let's do something special. How about if right now, with all my clothes on, I pour the remaining liquid out of the Fox News Cup of Life over my head? Do you want me to do that? Live right now? I didn't plan this. You want me to do it?